which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Next up, I'll ask the clerk to go ahead and please call roll.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Bowden,
Here.
Buzza,
Here.
Cardenas,
Here.
Kona,
Here.
Kress, Linkus,
Here.
Lauk, Commissioner Lauk.
He stepped out for a moment.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Saria, Sieben, Barry,
Here.
Orton,
Here.
Joseph.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. All right, next up is the approval of the minutes for the following meetings. The first one is Hillsborough County Planning Commission regular meeting minutes, April 14th, 2025. And the second one is Hillsborough County Planning Commission public hearing on Hillsborough County Plan Amendments, meeting minutes, April 14th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve out there?
Move to approve.
Second. Motion to approve by Commissioner Kress, a second to that motion by Commissioner Buzza. Are there any questions from the commissioners before we take our vote? Not seeing any. Will all please signify their agreement by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. We did have a couple people sign up in our public input section to speak on items not scheduled on the agenda. A couple folks online, so I will just check with them to see if they still wanted to speak for their 3 minutes. We will start with Lindsay S. Is Lindsay S. on the line? Lindsay Sakella Rides. I'll try the last name.
Hi, yes, I'm
Yes,
here.
Please,
Can
go
you
ahead.
hear me?
Yes.
Hi, yes, so, excuse me, sorry about that. My name is Lindsay Sacklarides, and I live on Holly Lane in Lutz. I tried to, I see that there is a section on your agenda about it, but it wasn't on the drop-down menu for a speech. So I'm here today as a parent and a member of this community to express my deep concern about the proposed expansion of the urban service area and the new development that would bring high-density housing into our neighborhood. Our streets right now can't even handle the current through traffic heading to Lutz Lake Firm. We see speeding, congestion, and cut-through drivers on a daily basis, and that's without the added volume this development would bring. Adding hundreds of new residents and construction vehicles will only make it worse. The roads weren't built for this kind of traffic, and our families will pay the price in safety. My children, like many others in this neighborhood, play outside and walk along these streets. But with increased traffic and no sidewalk or proper pedestrian infrastructure, it's simply just not safe. We fear that accidents would become inevitable, not occasional. Beyond traffic, high-density growth brings risks of increased crime and slower emergency response times. Our public safety services are already stretched thin, and this development would overwhelm them even more. We moved here because this community was peaceful, safe, and family-focused. This proposal threatens to take that away. I'm not against growth, but it has to be done responsibly, with respect for the families who already live here. Please protect our children's safety, their ability to enjoy the outdoors, and the character of our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we have a Lewis Gill.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. My name is Lewis Gill, and I am also a resident of Holly Lane. I am, in fact, the across the street neighbor from Lindsay, who just spoke. In order to make this short, I'm just going to echo her concerns with the small addition of the possible ecological impact as well as the traffic, as she mentioned, and obviously all that deterioration that it may cause to the current environment as it stands for those of us all in this street and in this neighborhood that are on a well. So having said that, like I said, I echo the concerns of my neighbor Lindsay, and I'm sure that it is the same exact response you're going to get from every single one of the residents of Holly Lane. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Michael S.
Hi, yes. I am actually Lindsay's husband, so thanks, Lindsay, for commenting as well. I didn't know that was going to happen. So I just wanted to talk about the same issue, the briefing items for the Holly Lane, Dale Mabry expansions and the townhome proposal. I know it's very early in it and everything, so I understand nothing's happening immediately. But again, just kind of hitting in opposition of it. While I think we all have some even slight, small appreciation for the developer's enthusiasm for it, it just truly doesn't fit in our section of the community. I just look, again, to keep it short and sweet. I used to work with developers and a development firm and whatnot. And have recently just left it, a big one locally in the area. And I kind of know and see some of the inner workings and politicking and things that go on behind the scenes. So I just wanted to comment and say, if anybody wants to look at this before voting to approve, please, you can come meet any of us on site. We'll gladly go walk it with you, show the challenges of our area and some of the things that we face. A lot of these soils, compact soils and development things that are used to clear land and kind of dress it up for some of the builders to come in and then finally finish these areas. It's going to severely impact us too, that I don't think that's been hit on yet. With the hurricane that just came through this past October, we were underwater on our street for some time. We've got a very high water table, different things like that. We've got a lot of farmland and cow fields and whatnot. And with some of these soils that they're going to introduce and bring into our area, that's going to impact everybody who surrounds this community. Not only that, but this isn't really a cookie cutter area. This is an area that people have come and settled in and kind of set up their future and their families, compared to having something local that is a community built cookie cutter with a developer, builders coming in to plan. There's no real master plan in this area right now, which kind of makes it special and unique. And really the last thing I just wanted to mention is just your guys' mission statement. There is one item on there that I think is important, is just that talking about the improvement of the quality of life of, all the constituents and people of this area. And that's something definitely to keep in mind here, because I think it's going to severely negatively impact a lot of people in this area. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. That's all we had sign up in the public comment. So we will move on to our next agenda item. But before we do, I did want to recognize some special guests we have in the room. Let the commissioners know who they are. Our FLIP program candidates are in the room with us today on the right over there. So if anybody was wondering who all these young people were, that's what's going on. All right, so to get us down to our business now, our first action item is 3A, proposed amended and reinstated community redevelopment plan for downtown community redevelopment area. Sorry, presenter is Emily Phelan.
Good afternoon, Emily Phelan, Planning Commission staff. This is an amended and restated community redevelopment plan for the downtown community CRA. This is publicly initiated, and the Planning Commission does review this as required under Section 163.360 (4) of the Florida State Statutes. The proposed amendment replacement is intended to assess the current needs and opportunities and establish goals through 2043. And on the right side of the screen, that is the CRA boundary, which city staff will go over in their presentation as well. The Planning Commission staff reviewed the proposed CRA plan and found it consistent with multiple aspects of the comprehensive plan. It promotes density, supportive of transit, and a mixture to uses. Within their plan, they identify safer pedestrian and bicycle crossings as a priority, and also the TICO streetcar is within the CRA as well. The utilization of vacant or underutilized land, that is ongoing mixed-use infill that promotes a more economically sustainable development pattern, which is identified in the CRA plan as well, and increased housing opportunities, diverse housing types, and is important throughout this, as Tampa's population is growing, and we do have to accommodate for that as well. And with that, Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed CRA plan for downtown be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Tampa Comprehensive Plan. This concludes my presentation. If you all have any questions, and if you don't, city staff is here to have a presentation as well.
Yeah, city can go ahead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Bryce Faringer. I'm with the Tampa CRA. I'm also joined here by Courtney Orr, the Development Manager for the Downtown, Tampa Heights, and Central Park CRA districts. And we are also accompanied by the CRA Director, Mr. Cedric McCrae, as well. So any of us can answer any questions if you have any at the conclusion of these presentations. This is an aerial view of the downtown community redevelopment area. It does have two separate tax increment financing districts, both of which are obviously located within downtown. Overall, the purpose of the CRA plan update is to analyze the evolving physical, economic, and social conditions within the downtown Tampa CRA. This is the first comprehensive update to this plan since 1988, and we are aiming to update these plans every 5 years moving forward. These are the key objectives of the Tampa Community Redevelopment Agency, and they consist of attainable housing, connectivity, economic advancement, quality of life, and community engagement. This is just a high-level summary of the strategic action sections that are outlined within the Downtown Tampa CRP document. These tie into the key objectives for our entire agency. Overall, Tampa CRA staff find the resolution by the Hillsborough County City-County Planning Commission fully supportable, and this concludes my presentation. I can answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. All right. We didn't have anyone sign up for the public comment on this one. So did we get our recommendation from staff already? Consistency? Yeah, okay. All right. So I will turn it over to the commissioners for questions, discussions on this item. Yes, Commissioner
I'll just
Kress.
make a comment. As an employee at the Tampa Downtown Partnership, we work very closely with the city CRA staff on this, and they've done a stellar job. They've really listened to the community a lot. I would say that about the next two items as well. So I fully endorse it and hope everyone else will support it.
Thank you. All right. Any other comments from the commissioners? Questions? Before we shut it down, not seeing any, I'll close the public comment on this item and open it up to motions from the commissioners. Yes, Commissioner Buzza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move that we approve the proposed amendment and reinstate community redevelopment for the downtown community redevelopment area.
All right, a motion of approval or consistency? Consistency finding by Commissioner Buzza. Second motion. All right, second by Commissioner Bowden. Are there any questions, comments from the commissioners before we take our vote on this consistency finding? No? All right, then would all signify their agreement by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, next up, we have item 3B, proposed amended and reinstated community redevelopment plan for the Central Park Community Redevelopment Plan area, and the presenter is Quinn Steele. And I'd just like to let the clerk know that Commissioner Lauk has re-entered the building, so thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Quinn Steele, Planning Commission staff. Today I'll be presenting the amended and reinstated Community Redevelopment Plan for the Central Park CRA. The request before you is publicly initiated and reviewed by the Planning Commission is required under Florida state statutes. The updated CRA plan is intended to update the progress of completed projects within the district, assess current needs, opportunities for redevelopment, and conditions in the district, and establish updated goals through the CRA sunset in 2036. The proposed CRA plan is consistent with several objectives and policies of the comprehensive plan, including promoting a mixture of uses and densities that create a walkable, transit-oriented environment, the utilization of vacant and underutilized land, and improvements to the public realm, including streetscape upgrades, open space enhancement, and public art installations. Before we go into the final recommendation, it's important to note that staff's consistency finding is contingent upon specific edits made to the CRA plan. First, the CRA plan currently includes language stating it's fully consistent with the comprehensive plan, and that type of determination must be made by the Planning Commission during our formal review, and any such language should be revised or removed from the plan. Second, Table 2, which identifies applicable comprehensive plan policies, should also be removed. The interpretation and application of those policies is the responsibility of the Planning Commission and should be reflected only in our analysis. Planning Commission staff recommends that the proposed amended and reinstated community redevelopment plan for the Central Park CRA be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Tampa Comprehensive Plan. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Did the city staff have a presentation for this one? Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Bryce Faringer, Tampa CRA staff. This is the presentation for the Central Park Community Redevelopment Plan update. This is an aerial view of the Central Park Community Redevelopment Area. It's located directly northeast of the downtown Community Redevelopment Area and falls between the boundaries of Interstate 275 and Nucio Parkway. Overall, the purpose of the CRA plan update is to analyze the physical, economic, and social conditions within the Central Park CRA to help guide all of our redevelopment initiatives in the future. This is the first plan update for this district since 2006. And like I had mentioned with downtown, our goal as an agency is to begin updating these plans every 5 years. Once again, these are the key objectives of the Tampa Community Redevelopment Agency. And this is a high-level synopsis of how the key objectives of our agency are applied to the Central Park CRP throughout the entire document. Overall, Tampa CRA staff find the resolution and all of the contingencies outlined by the Hillsborough County City-County Planning Commission fully supportable. We will go ahead and work with the Tampa CRA board along with our legal counsel to edit Table 2 and references to the comprehensive plan as outlined by Ms. Steele in her presentation. This concludes my presentation, and I can answer any questions.
Thank you. All right, we didn't have anyone sign up in the public comment for this one, so I will turn it over to the commissioners for questions, discussion items. Commissioner Buzza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I meant to ask about this, the prior one, but I'll ask about this one and then carry over to the Riverfront Community Redevelopment Plan. What is there's a stated goal for affordable housing, but how is that effectuated in your plans?
Courtney, are you able to come? Yeah, so affordable housing is one of the main objectives of really our entire agency. Central Park has a number of different affordable housing projects that have already been implemented. It's located within a prime area right next to downtown, so really within the next couple of decades, workforce housing specifically is something that we'll need to implement throughout all of the different available land that the CRA owns as well.
Well, do you want to add, Courtney, what percentage
Yeah.
of your budget goes toward
yeah,
that?
absolutely.
I
Sorry
was just
about
going
that.
to add that, money is always necessary for these types of developments, and so we put aside 30% of the total TIF revenue every fiscal year to implement the programs we have established for affordable housing.
All right.
Ma'am, can you state your name for the record?
Courtney Orr.
Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions, comments, thoughts from the commissioners? Not seeing any, then I will go on ahead and close the public comment on this one and open it up to motions from the commissioners. Commissioner Buzza.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move we approve the Central Park Community Redevelopment Area.
All right. I have a motion of consistency finding by Commissioner Buzza.
Second.
All right. Second by Commissioner Linkus. Are there any questions, comments, thoughts from the commissioners? Not seeing any, then would all signify their agreement by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. Next up, we have 3C, Proposed Amended and Reinstated Community Redevelopment Plan for the Tampa Heights Riverfront Community Redevelopment Area, and the presenter is Quinn Steele.
Good afternoon, Quinn Steele again, proposing the amended and reinstated community redevelopment plan for the Tampa Heights Riverfront CRA. The request before you is publicly initiated and review by the Planning Commission is required under Florida state statutes. The updated plan is intended to update the progress of completed projects, assess current needs, conditions, and opportunities for redevelopment within the district, and establish goals to the CRA sunset in 2043. The proposed CRA plan is consistent with several objectives and policies in the comprehensive plan, including promoting densities and a mixture of uses that creates a walkable and transit-oriented environment, the utilization of vacant and underutilized land, and improvements to the public realm, including streetscape enhancements, pedestrian and bicycle facilities, and access to parks and open space. The staff has the same contingencies from the first presentation for removal or revision of language, saying that it is fully consistent with the comprehensive plan, and the removal of Table 2, which references applicable comprehensive plan policies. Planning Commission staff recommends the proposed amended and reinstated community redevelopment plan for the Tampa Heights Riverfront CRA be found consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the Tampa Comprehensive Plan. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Does the city have a presentation?
Yes, sir.
Come on down.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Bryce Faringer, Tampa CRA staff. This is the presentation for the Tampa Heights Community Redevelopment Plan update. This is an aerial view of the Tampa Heights Riverfront Community Redevelopment Area. It's located directly northwest of the downtown community redevelopment area and directly north of Interstate 275. Overall, the purpose of the CRA plan update is to analyze the physical, economic, and social conditions within the Tampa Heights Riverfront CRA to help guide redevelopment initiatives in the future. And this is the first update since its adoption in 1999. And like I had mentioned with the other two plans, our goal is to begin updating these every 5 years. Once again, these are the key objectives of the Tampa Community Redevelopment Agency. And this is a high-level synopsis of how those objectives are applied throughout the Tampa Heights Riverfront CRP document. Tampa CRA staff find the resolution and all of the contingencies outlined by Planning Commission staff fully supportable. Once again, we will work with our legal counsel and the Tampa CRA board on the removal of Table 2, along with references to the comprehensive plan. This concludes my presentation, and I can answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. All right. We had no one sign up in the public comment for this one, so I'll turn it over to commissioners again for questions, comments, statements on this one. Not seeing any, then I will close the public comment on this one and open it up to motions from the commissioners on this item. Anyone?
All right.
Buzzer. Commissioner Buzzer, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to move that we approve, forward on to the Tampa City Council, the proposed amended and restated, this is going to make these titles shorter, for the Tampa Heights Riverfront Community Redevelopment Area.
All right. Motion of consistency signed by Commissioner Buzzer.
Second.
All right. A second by Commissioner Lau. Are there any questions, comments from the commissioners before we take our vote? Not seeing any, then we'll all signify their agreement by saying aye. 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 Those opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Right.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we are out of our action items, so everybody can relax just a little bit, and we're into our briefing items. And the first one is 4A, HCCPA 25-10, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, 6544 County Road 579, and the presenter is Willow Mickey.
Good afternoon. I'm Willa Mickey with your Planning Commission staff. I will be briefing HCCPA 25-10, which is located at 6544 County Road 579. This request is a privately initiated small-scale map amendment. It is made up of 6 parcels that total approximately 15.64 acres. The request is to change the land use designation of these parcels from Residential 1 and Residential 4 to Light Industrial Planned. This plan amendment is part of the April 2025 cycle located in the rural area and is within the limits of the Tonawanda-Sassa Community Plan. This is an aerial photo of the site outlined here in pink, and the blue line is representing the urban service area boundary, with the east of the line being the rural area, including the site. It is located north of West Pruitt Road, west of Mango Road, and south of Davis Pool Road. Within the vicinity of the site, there is single-family residential and vacant uses to the northwest and south. There are agricultural uses to the northeast and south, and public quasi-public uses to the south. The site is in the Residential 1 and Residential 4 land use category. Residential 1 allows for the consideration of agricultural, farms, ranches, residential, neighborhood commercial, offices, and multipurpose projects. Residential 4 allows for the consideration of agricultural, residential, neighborhood commercial, office uses, and multipurpose projects. Surrounding land use categories include Res 1 and Res 4 to the north and west of the site, with Res 4 to the south as well. To the east, there is Res 2, as well as public, quasi-public, and light industrial planned further to the southeast. The green lines on the map represents the coastal high hazard area. Additionally, I just wanted to mention, although it's not on this map, that the parcel directly to the east of the site was recently adopted to LIP under HCCPA 2426. The request is to change the site to light industrial plan, which allows for the consideration of uses such as agricultural, light industrial uses such as processing, manufacturing, recycling, and storage of materials as the predominant uses, including support offices, warehousing, and no residential is allowed under this category. This slide outlines the potential impacts of the requested land use change. Currently, under Res 1 and Res 4, the site can be considered for up to 47 dwelling units and 170,319 square feet of non-residential. The change to light industrial plan would not allow for the consideration of residential use, but would allow for up to approximately 510,958 square feet of non-residential uses. The proposed amendment will result in the potential increase in commercial intensity and the introduction of industrial uses, and would eliminate the potential for residential development. This concludes the briefing on this item. I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, discussion items from the commissioners? I did have a quick question. That the one that was recently turned to LIP next to it, what was staff's finding on that one? Do we know?
Yes, that was, staff's finding was inconsistent, and it was voted consistent.
Okay. All right. And where, can you show me the map again, where that other one was on the map in relation to it?
It's that, do you guys see my pointer when I do this?
No.
It's just that big block of yellow to the east of the site.
Okay, I can see it. All right. All right, that's good for me. Are there any other questions, comments from the commissioners? Not seeing any. Well, thank you for the information. And we will move on to our next agenda item, 4B, HCCPA 25-11, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, 6720 Van Dyke Road Urban Service Expansion. And the presenter is Alexis Myers.
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. Alexis Myers, Planning Commission staff, here to present HCCPA 2511, located at 6720 Van Dyke Road for the Urban Service Area Expansion. This is a privately initiated map amendment that is small in scale and approximately 21.73 acres. The applicant is requesting to expand the urban service area. This amendment is also associated with HCCPA 2512, a request to change the future land use category from residential 1 to residential 12. This is the general location map. As I mentioned, it is associated with HCCPA 2512. It is also in the rural area and within the limits of the Keystone Odessa Community Plan. It is south of Van Dyke Road and west of Suncoast Parkway. Here's the aerial of the site. The site is outlined in pink, and the blue line indicates the existing urban service area boundary. Oh, and then, sorry, the kind of the road, not a road, but in between here is land owned by FDOT. As far as the impacts, this amendment would bring 21.73 acres into the urban service area, requiring at a minimum connection to public water and sewer. And this concludes my presentation for HCCPA 2511, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners on this one? Commissioner Kress.
Alexis, would you tell us more about the FDOT easement that's running through the site?
Yes. Yes, so it is, it's in the middle of these parcels. It is owned by FDOT. I'm not sure if Ms. Sornita could help me a little bit more.
I guess we
but,
should say that's the Florida Department of Transportation.
Yes, I
for our
apologize.
guests.
Yes. I should have put more notes down. I do have it down somewhere else. I apologize. I can get some more information for you.
Well, Commissioner Kona just said there might be a water treatment facility to the south of it, so maybe it's like a easement or access road.
That's what it is, an access
Yeah,
road.
okay, thanks.
I live up there. I could drive those roads blindfolded. It's an access road, yeah. Are there any other questions from the commissioners? Thoughts? Not seeing any. Well, thank you. And we will move on to our next agenda item. Item 4C, HCCPA 25-12, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment. Is that the right one? Yeah, 6720 Van Dyke Road. And presenter is Tyreek Royal.
Good afternoon, everyone. Tyreek Royal, Planning Commission staff. And today I'll be briefing HCCPA 2412 at 672 Van Dyke Road. This request is privately initiated small-scale map amendment with approximately 12.79 acres. The request is to change the land use designation from Res 1 to Res 12. The location of the site is in the western portion of unincorporated Hillsborough County. This is part of the April 2025 cycle in the rural area within the limits of the Keystone Odessa Community Plan. It's associated with 2511. This is the aerial of the site outlined in pink. The urban service area is indicated by the blue line. It's located south of Van Dyke Road and west of Tobacco Road. The surrounding uses include agriculture uses to the north, single-family uses to the west and south light commercial uses to the east. The site is in the Res 1 future land use category. It allows for the consideration of agricultural, farms, ranches, residential neighborhood, commercial, office, and multi-purpose projects. Commercial uses are subject to locational criteria. The applicant is requesting to change the future land use category from Res 1 to Res 12. The Res 12 allows for consideration for agricultural, residential, neighborhood commercial, office uses, multi-purpose projects, and mixed-use development. The change from Res 1 to Res 12 would allow for an increase of development by allowing higher residential density and greater commercial intensity. The density of one dwelling unit per gross acre will increase to 12 dwelling units per gross acre. The commercial intensity will increase from a 0.25 FAR, or a maximum of 139,000 square feet, to a 0.5 FAR, or a maximum of 278,000 square feet. And that concludes my briefing. I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the commissioners? Not seeing any lights, then we'll thank you for the information.
Thank you.
We'll move on to our next agenda item. 4D, HCCPA 25-13, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, Dale Mabry Highway and Holly Lane Urban Service Area Expansion. And the presenter is Alexis Myers.
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. Alexis Myers again to our Planning Commission staff here to present HCCPA 2513 located at Dale Mabry Highway and Holly Lane for the urban service area expansion. This is a privately initiated map amendment that is small in scale and approximately 24.36 acres. The applicant is requesting to expand the urban service area. This amendment is also associated with HCCPA 2514, a request to change the future land use category from residential 1 to residential 9. This is the general location map. As I mentioned in the last slide, is associated with HCCPA 2514. It is in the rural area and within the limits of the Lutz Community Plan. It is located east of Dale Mabry Highway, south of Holly Lane, and north of Lutz Lake Fern Road. Here's the aerial of the site. The site is outlined in pink, and the blue line indicates the existing urban service area boundary. And then up above, right up here, is the county line road line, or boundary. Next are the impacts. The amendment would bring 24.36 acres into the urban service area, requiring at a minimum connection to public water and sewer. And this concludes my presentation for HCCPA 2514, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments, thoughts from the commissioners? Not seeing any. Well, thank you. And we will move on to our next agenda item, 4E, HCCPA 25-14, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, Dale Mabry and Holly Lane. And the presenter is Lily Linehan? Linehan.
Good afternoon, Lily Lenahan with Planning Commission staff, and I will be briefing HCCPA 2514, which is located at Dale Mabry Highway and Holly Lane. This request is a privately initiated small-scale map amendment, and it is made up of a portion of parcel that totals approximately 24.36 acres, and the request is to change the land use designation from residential 1 to residential 9. As Alexis previously mentioned, it is associated with HCCPA 2513. It is located in the northern portion of unincorporated Hillsborough County, is in the rural area and Lutz Community Plan. It's east of Dale Mabry Highway, south of Holly Lane, and north of West Lutz Lake Fern Road. Here's an aerial of the site. It is outlined here in pink, and within the vicinity of the site, there are single-family residential, public, quasi-public, institutional, agricultural, and natural uses. And additionally, there is one light commercial use to the south of the site. As you can see in this map, the site is in the residential 1 future land use category, which allows for the consideration of low-density residential, rural-scale neighborhood commercial, and office multipurpose projects, and neighborhood commercial uses are subject to locational criteria. The surrounding land use categories consist of mainly residential 1 and residential 2, and there is one subdivision, I will point it out here, that is southwest of the site, that is located in the urban service area and contains a designation of residential 4 and neighborhood mixed use 4. Again, the request is to change the site to residential 9, which allows for the consideration of agricultural, residential, neighborhood commercial, office uses, multi-purpose projects, and mixed-use developments. This slide outlines the potential impacts of the requested land use change, and currently under the residential 1, the site can be considered for up to 24 dwelling units or approximately 265,269 square feet of non-residential uses subject to locational criteria. The change to residential 9 would allow for the consideration of up to 219 dwelling units or approximately 530,539 square feet of non-residential uses. And all non-residential development that exceeds the 0.35 FAR must be for office or residential support uses. The proposed amendment will result in an increase in development potential by allowing higher residential density and greater commercial intensity. This concludes the briefing presentations for all items to be scheduled to be heard in the July public hearing, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions, comments, thoughts from the commissioners? Not seeing any, then we'll thank you for the information.
Thank you.
All right, move on to our next agenda item, 5, Executive Director's Report, and the presenter is Melissa Zornita. I thought you were leaving for a second there.
No, just wanted to grab a prop for one of the items to share. A couple of things to share on my report this afternoon. Melissa Zornita, Executive Director. Just going chronologically and things from the last month. I was asked to attend the Charter Review Board for Hillsborough County last month. They had asked to discuss the section of the Hillsborough County Charter that talks about planning, that myself and Adam Gormley, the Development Services Director, and Greg Horadell, the Assistant County Administrator, attended that meeting, had a good discussion explaining the role of the Planning Commission, the role of Development Services. They had a lot of interest in how a geography as large as Hillsborough County is planned for. So I talked a good bit about the community planning process. They had a lot of interest in what Adam had to say about how things like flooding after the storms were handled, and ultimately decided not to make any changes to the charter related to planning. They have asked that Yassert Gonzalez and I come back to their July meeting where they would like to talk about the demographics and trends that have changed in Hillsborough County as they start their discussion about redistricting for and the county commission districts. So we will be making another presentation at their July meeting about the demographic trends. They started at the end of this presentation in May to ask me some questions about our role in the redistricting process for the city of Tampa. The chair at the meeting kind of quickly squashed that and said, that's not what she's here for at this meeting. She'll come back at another meeting to talk about that. So I anticipate that there will be some questions about our role in that process, which I'm happy to talk about what we do for the city of Tampa. I'm very proud of the process that we do there. Let's see. the reason I got the prop was because I wasn't able to attend, but our chair was, as was Bryn Dauphiné and some of our other staff. But on May 16th at the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council, our agency was awarded a Future of the Region Award for the FLIP program, which was kind of fitting since they're all sitting here. Very pleased to have received that award for this annual program. So that was really nice to have gotten that. Sorry I couldn't be there myself, but very pleased to see the hard work that Bryn puts into this every year, recognized, and all of the staff. There's a lot of staff that help us put this together. Hope the kids have a great experience this year. This is the first time that they've ever been able to come to a planning commission meeting, so y'all didn't make it very spicy for them. Let's see. On May 20th, I had the opportunity, thank you, Commissioner Kress, to be a speaker at the Downtown Partnerships Downtown Briefing. That was a great experience. Later that week, on the 22nd, Tampa City Council had their public hearing on the future land use update. We had a number of the activities on this list dealt with briefings and meetings in preparation for that. Ultimately, I shared with you all an email about how that went and the video of that. They ultimately continued the hearing to August 28th with a couple of actions in their motion. One, asking us to do some additional outreach, including 4 meetings, 1 in each council district, as well as some virtual meetings to get some additional input and do some additional education of the community. As I think you all saw at your hearings, there was some misinformation in the community that definitely permeated and grew as we went towards city council. There were a lot of folks who thought that we were rezoning property, we were changing things to all of a sudden increase density in places where we were not. But they did ask us specifically to look at 2 policies. One, the transit-ready corridors and whether or not the depth of those and whether was appropriate, whether or not they should be on all segments of all of those roadways, or whether or not perhaps they should be more at maybe some nodes in certain areas as opposed to the entirety of all of those corridors. The other thing, in some places they were, I think, the community was confusing the issue of the transit-ready corridor versus the criteria for where townhomes would be allowed. And that's some of what I think we need to educate them on, the differences between those issues. But the other policy they asked us to look at was that policy of where in the R10 land use category there were criteria being added to be more specific about where townhomes would be allowed. Today in the plan, it says limited townhomes should be considered, and we were adding criteria to be more clear about what limited townhomes meant. By doing that, then we mapped what that criteria would allow, and people reacted to that map. Well, the limited townhomes meant it could really go almost anywhere. But once there was a map, people felt like that was very definitive, and that was more limiting in one sense from our perspective, but to them that felt more definitive. And so at any rate, we're going to re-look at that and see if there are some changes to those criteria. So that's what they've asked us to look at. We are looking at 2 small contracts with The firm that we had previously been using to support the future land use update, PSG, they split in the course of all of this, because we've been at this for a couple of years now, and some of the staff are at a firm called 3TP. One of the professionals who had helped with the outreach previously is at a firm called Haskell. So we're looking at 2 small contracts to have some assistance with this outreach over the summer. Because it is, in addition to the 4 meetings at the council districts as well as the virtual meetings, they're also asking, we're getting a lot of requests from neighborhood associations for us to come to attend their meetings and be the speaker. We want to attend all of those things. We want to have materials. All of this is going to be done in a very quick turnaround to get out to all of these places, meet with folks, and get some revisions done by August 28th. That's the plan, or what we're going to attempt to be the plan. So that's what council asked us to do, and we're on the path to get that done. We already are looking at having some of the first of those virtual meetings at the end of this month, and then City Council takes a bit of a break at the beginning of July. So most of those meetings will happen in the later part of July. Let's see, the other big news from the city of Tampa was that they did appoint a new planning commissioner. I shared that on Friday. So unfortunately, Commissioner Soria is no longer our commissioner. We do have a new commissioner, Rick, I think it's pronounced Kugler, who is from East Tampa. He's on vacation, unfortunately, so was not able to be here today, but hopes to be here at the July meeting. So I'll be meeting with him and get him up to speed. Let's see, other updates. There were no additional hearings with the county since your last meeting. One plan amendment for the city of Tampa was adopted. That was the small-scale plan amendment on Moody Avenue, which you all had found consistent. When the Tampa City Council continued the future land use section, we asked them to continue housing and coastal so they could stay on the same track, because those 3 sections were very interrelated, had a lot of policies moving from one section to the other, so we wanted to keep them together. So all 3 of those were continued to August 28th. And then there was one amendment in Plant City. It was from 2023, actually. At that time, it was found inconsistent by staff and the Planning Commission based on, I believe it's inconsistency with the Northeast Master Plan. The Northeast Master Plan got updated, and it was found consistent and adopted by Plant City in May. With that is my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I think Commissioner Seaman has a question she has waited patiently
Sure.
for.
And tell me if it's not the right time to ask this, but you had asked the question about, or you had mentioned that City Council had an issue with the transit-ready corridors in combination with the R10 maps, and I was just wondering if you could clarify exactly what the concern is or what you guys are looking to change.
Well, I think we're not entirely sure yet what we're looking to change. Some of their concern was the depth of the corridor. We had been looking at that going back an eighth of a mile. Some of the other concern that we heard was that there were some places where it went that it may not be as suitable for redevelopment. There were a couple of places that were pointed out up in Forest Hills, for example, where the area was more like it was going into like a residential subdivision where there were like cul-de-sacs. It wasn't really a commercial frontage along a roadway. And so was that really the type of corridor where we want transit-oriented redevelopment? And so they were saying maybe we need to take a little bit closer look at some of those segments of the corridors to see whether they were appropriate to be included.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other, you could ask Commissioner Lucas.
I just wanted to congratulate the Planning Commission for the award for FLIP. And I just wanted to make sure, a couple years ago now, Executive Director Zornita and I and a staff member were involved in writing a chapter about FLIP. And you may not know this, but you're really one of only about less than 3 or 4 programs in the whole country that educates high schoolers around urban planning. So it's really unique and it's special, and it's just an example of sort of the commitment to kind of innovative work that you all do, because that's the thing that is most known about planning education. Young people don't know about it. People don't know it's an option. And in case you all don't know, the commission's involved with an education program for even younger students, for like elementary age and preschool, I think even.
I don't think we've gotten that
okay,
young.
elementary. But kudos to you all for being involved, and congratulations on the award.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Linkus. Are there any, Commissioner Lauk? I see you moving kind of, sort of now. I had a question myself.
Sure.
That corridors thing, I'm not understanding. So the roads end in neighborhoods, or do they just pass through neighborhoods at certain points? I don't.
So I guess they pass through, and then the eighth of a mile goes into. So
I see.
So when the road goes maybe adjacent to is better way to frame it. And so then when you take the eighth of a mile off the corridor, that eighth of a mile goes into the neighborhood.
Right.
So so I think probably the overwhelming concern that we heard was that the eighth of a mile was probably maybe too far in some instances. And, but then on the flip side, you know, there are some places where an eighth of a mile might be appropriate because you've got bigger chunks of commercial property.
Right.
And you want to capture that. So I think that's something that we're looking at, is whether or not does that distance maybe vary based on the land use category. Because if you've got a commercial land use category on your property, you would think it would go the further depth.
Right.
And if you're in that R10, maybe the depth is narrower.
Right.
That's one thought that's been discussed. One council member said maybe we look at more nodes or segments as opposed to the entire corridor. You know, when you're looking at it being based on transit that is bus oriented, the bus stops are very close together, and they're not necessarily located at an intersection. You know, they're located off the intersection. So the idea of nodes is a little bit harder than if you were doing it based on other types of transit, where you might have more of a station type of focus. So I'm not sure, I understood his idea, but I'm not sure it works quite as well when we're focusing on bus and walking from bus stops and biking to bus stops, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So.
All right, I got it.
Yeah.
All right. Any other question? Commissioner Lauk looks ready.
All right.
Fire.
I think I'm ready now. No fire. No fire, just some quizzing. Yeah. Specific to your conversation around demographics and districts, when we have that conversation as it comes up in the next, I don't know when we will start to get to work on that in terms of process and leaning into the creation of what Yasser will bring to us as with something to vote on. If we have a retreat coming up soon, I'd like to really understand that process in detail, or if we could take some extended time and run the briefing sessions before the work commences for this coming session.
Sure.
So we have an opportunity to weigh in maybe a different way or reinforce the way, give the thumbs up to the way it's been done in the past.
Yes,
Specific to
absolutely.
the city
That
council
is
districts.
yes, that's great. So for the city of Tampa, the redistricting will have to be done we have to get it completed by April of 2026. So yes, I was anticipating us having a retreat once we have all of our new members for this year, which will happen after September, because I know at least Commissioner Kress has indicated that she doesn't want to be reappointed. No pressure.
Denied.
But she could always change her mind. So that would be a great topic for us to talk about. That timing will work out really well, leading into that process. So that's a great idea. Yeah, super.
All right. Are there any thoughts or questions, comments from Ms. Zornita? Yeah, I think the redistricting stuff is going to be a hot topic for us as we go forward as an agency. So just be prepared for that, Ms. Zornita.
Oh, yeah.
People are already talking all about town about that. So I think a lot of people's eyes are going to be on that when we start pulling up to that sort of stuff. So fun times.
Yeah, well, we have a very straightforward and transparent process. We have a methodology that has been followed and have very contiguous districts for the Tampa City Council districts. So that makes it a little bit easier process to work from, and as well as we have to follow what the precincts, you have to move entire precincts that the supervisor of elections uses. So that, at least in past years, that has made the different scenarios fairly discrete, because you either you have to move one whole precinct or another. But yeah, we'll walk through that whole process.
All right, Commissioner Lau.
Just a little background for some of the commissioners who weren't here last time. We actually, it's one of the few votes we take where it's binding.
Yes.
And we set the districts for city council, and that's the undercurrent for what we're talking about
Yeah.
for those of us who weren't around the last time we did it.
All right. Any other questions, thoughts, comments from the commissioners for her? Not seeing any. Well, thank you, Ms. Zornita.
Thank you.
And we will move on to our next and final agenda item, or second to final agenda item, other business. Chair's business, I have none. Old business, I believe there is none. Does anyone have any new business for us? Not seeing any, then I will move on to committee reports. Does anybody have any committee reports? I have a quick one for the Transportation Board. We had a TPO meeting on May 14th. Not very exciting. All we did for action items was the TIP amendment. We added some money into the TIP for interstate wrong-way detection systems, $152,000 for construction. And then FDOT picked up some funding for an environmental phase review for the project. So again, that's just adding more wrong-way detection systems and signage and technology and ways, pavement markings, things like that for dealing with wrong-way drivers across our region. And the other action item we had was a Unified Planning Work Program amendment for the annual certification of the Metropolitan Transportation Planning process. And what that is FDOT, TPO staff, and then the TPO board review basically what the TPO has been doing all year and sign off on it to say that they've been doing a decent job. So those are our two major items at our last TPO meeting. Not a lot of big ticket items going on. So questions for me on that, or thoughts, comments? No? All right. Then I'll turn it over to any other committee reports from the commissioners. Not seeing any at this time, then that is our last item of business for this regular meeting. We will start the Hillsborough County public hearing first. All right, we will see everyone back here at 5:30 for our Hillsborough County public hearing, and at 4:34 p.m. this regular meeting is adjourned.